Hello, and welcome to yet another edition of Conscious Mind Tripping with me, your host, Audrey Newmont, author of The Mind Trip Game, Play Your Way to Conscious Thinking. And we are on to a really great night tonight because today is the first tool. This is the thing that you do to change your life. So let's get into it. I want to do a little brief summary of that fear into power and what it does in your actual body. As you can see from the picture here with my fabulous stick figure, fear, false evidence appearing real. Those are those feelings that are challenging, and they create within your body excessive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. Tight muscles, the energy leaves the center of the body and it goes to the extremities, and we go into that fight, flight, freeze. And most importantly, or very importantly, along with everything else, we can't think clearly. On the other hand, when you're in your power, your love feelings, that's when you are creating more oxytocin, serotonin, those are growth hormones. You're relaxed and calm. Your energy is in alignment, is in the center, and you are focused, grounded, and centered. And we think clearly so we can get into those solutions for what's going on. And our heart creates electromagnetic energy. The energetic vibration talks to our trillions of intelligent cells. The cells hear a message based on either love or fear feelings. And when you're at least authentically calm, you can own your power to consciously choose the road best traveled. The vibration that your body hears from the energy of calm is powerful. So, fear into power, your choice. This is the tool to change and possess your mind. This exercise is where the rubber meets the road, and you get to find out why you ever went down the hill to hell in the first place. This is the prime place to find those hidden beliefs that are sabotaging your life. This tool was designed to investigate and ponder your thoughts and feelings in a constructive way. You will use that new information about you to forge a new path in your mind for what you would rather be doing. In a profound way, this is creating a new neural road in your mind, brain. And with this tool, you'll be using the critical thinking part of your mind that is questioning the source of things, investigating and using logic, deduction, and reason. This is to determine what the subconscious thoughts are, where they came from in your timeline, and how they came to be your navigational system. These beliefs are always from the programming 0 to 8 years in your timeline, or from an experience, or from both. Many times it is from both the program and experience, as you learned the program and created some experience from that belief. With this fear into power tool, you are basically in the process of hypnotizing yourself and owning your power to transform those limiting beliefs that you took on early in life. Remember in the game board, the pit stop, when you have to address those fear feelings. This is the part of the game where you get to process through the challenging feelings in a productive way. When you are feeling any fear feeling, this is the communication that you have with yourself to sort things out and get back to the great business of life. So with this is when we're in the toolbox now with the tools. This is the fear into power tool. So here's how it works. Use a notebook, create 2 columns. One on it that you will say fear, that's the false evidence appearing real. And on the other column, that's your power. And then the line in between is the intention line. So when you're worried, anxious, whatever those feelings are, You'll write it down on the fear side. So I'm anxious, I'm worried, I'm stressed, I'm, you know, anything, frustrated. So, where is your attention? What are those challenging thoughts that keep zipping around in your mind? In this process, you're asking yourself questions that will bring about the answers to your unconscious thinking and behavior. I like to call this part of the journey, the positive pondering. You explore your history and begin to understand the thoughts in your mind and your habits and behaviors. So important questions to ask yourself are, is this is what is happening now something that I learned in the 0 8 years of early programming in my life? And is this something that has been taken on unconsciously through an experience? So that's super important as you're doing this exercise. This is that introspective work that you get into. So when you're looking at it, you can see from the diagram on the fear side, these are old beliefs. It's an illusion. And this is where we have those learning lessons. So you're I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling worried. You don't have to go into a whole novel when you're doing this. This is for you to get that thing out of your mind and onto paper and in a way to process it. And so you're using that critical thinking part of your mind to move you forward, to understand it. And so then you're asking, where is my attention? So is what's happening here in the 0 to 8? So you look at that life of yours in the 0 to 8. Is there something in here that's part of what I'm dealing with at the moment? Is it an experience? So in a minute, or not a minute, in a little bit, you're going to be getting into the timeline work, and that goes hand in hand with this fear into power tool. And so then you're going to be in the process of releasing it and letting it go. And so then you're choosing your intention to be on the power side, where you're using your intelligence, wisdom, your creativity, and I am. That's what you are now creating. That's what you're holding for yourself. So, what is your intention? And this is the part where we're going to be creating power statements. What actions can you take? How can you gain support? And this is where we focus on solutions. So, these are some of the bullet points for this. So what is the challenge? And these are the things that you do to go through this tool. This is something that it's a tool, but it's going to be a lifestyle change when you actually do this. So what is the challenge? Why am I feeling bad? So you're committing to yourself to be in the process of investigation. What happened to create this moment? You're intentionally choosing to be calm so you can think clearly. You're set and own a new intention. You create power statements to use as your new way of thinking, the new pathway in your mind. And this is a process. Be patient with yourself. Nobody changed their life overnight. Be patient. Be compassionate and allow for the change. So let's get into power statements. At this point, the fear side is working, and now on to your power. This is the part of the process where you are creating a new place for your attention. Remember, second button, attention to be focused. You get to define a clear, direct perception of who you are and where you are choosing to go. A power statement is what holds the place for you to move forward into. It is the strong declaration you are making about the direction of your life. When you create a power statement, you are redirecting the pathways from our mind to an unconscious thinking pattern, from an unconscious thinking pattern to a conscious, determined road of direct course. I'm going to say that again because it's just a big deal. When you create a power statement, you are redirecting the pathways from our mind from an unconscious thinking pattern to a conscious, determined road of direct course. You are declaring what you choose as your inner and outer path in light. You make your statements firm and with deep conviction. Think about the fears that you acknowledged. The power statement would be the opposite of whatever you wrote there. You will see some examples of this coming up. I think this is, before we go forward, I'm going to take a quick minute here because there's a lot that goes along with this. And some of the things I've noticed with people along the way, people have a tendency to write the fear side out and they want to remember all the details and they want to go into more of those details. They get that. This is what happened and it really didn't feel good. It didn't work out well or whatever the thing is. The fear side is just where you are understanding things. You don't have to write a whole novel. You don't have to remember all the details upon all the details and write all of that down. The most important part of this is where you are making it your choice, your intention, and that is where you put a lot of your attention. Okay? So it's important to remember that because people a lot of the time they get caught up in, well, Audrey, I noticed all this and I see all of this and this is where I'm at, but I'm having a really hard time on the power side. A lot of times we haven't been taught to own our power and you get to choose. That's why I put it like this. So when you're going to the power side, that's where I want you to think expansively. That's where you get to, I could do whatever that thing is. And then you put the actions behind it and get your support. So it's important to really, it's important to recognize where the program came from and all of that. But the power side is, where the power is. All right. I have had many clients who were anxious much of the time. When they looked at their fears around this, they could see the program in the 0 to 8 with influential people demonstrating anxiety. And then in the experiences of life, they had many moments of extreme anxiety into panic. They could also see that a lot of the anxiety started with a statement like, what if? Which means that they were not being present in the moment and focused on intentional living. A lot of the time, I will have them question their anxiety and ask themselves, is this true? Most of the time, it's probably not. It's always interesting to find out how much of what they are anxious about actually happened. For a person with anxiety like this, the power statements could be like these. I am present in each moment, focused on the good that life has to give. On any given moment, I own my truth. I am grounded, centered, focused, and calm. So you got to remember something about anxiety. If you look at that, the pit stop, anxiety is up here, you're up here, and you're starting to go down the hill. And it's like we're imagining what could happen. We're imagining something. And rather than imagining the good, we're imagining going down that hill to hell and loitering there. So it's really important to ask yourself those questions, especially with anxiety. So, and remember, when you are saying and feeling the power statement, you are the adult in the front seat, letting the kid know that you've got the wheel and are in charge. You are having a conversation with them about the situation and understanding why you would be feeling like that. And most importantly, calming their fear with the awareness of you, the adult, taking the wheel with your car with confidence, strength, and constructive action. When you use your power statements as your new guide, you are not following the path that may have been set by your parents, teachers, or the environment. You are forging your own new way with intention and purpose. When you are creating your power statements, follow these guidelines. Use I language for your power statement. I am, I know, I have. Keep it short and simple. Your power statements declare that this thing is already happening. Write it down in the present tense, in the here and now, right now, today. I am. Make the vocabulary personal to you. Use words that touch you at the feeling level, that touch your heart. State what you want, not how I will manifest it. Be specific with the qualities, not quantities, of what you are creating. I am abundant and generate lots of money from known and unknown sources, can be an example. State what, but not how. Your statement should be in the present tense. It is happening now. Within the intelligent universe, you are putting your intention into the act of creation. Know this and act as if your power statement is already manifested in your life, as if it is already in the works. If you think about the power statements with the road trip, imagine that while you're driving, you will say, "Hey Siri, get me directions. I'm get me directions. I'm going to my best job ever. Hey Google, my best and highest is happening right now. Directions, please. I'm meeting my soul partner, and that's just right. That's just right for me. Plug it in, Maps." Do you get my drift? All the intelligence that we use on our devices is the same thing that we are able to do for ourselves. We are talking to the internet all the time. Remember, feeling is what will get you around the board. When owning your power statement, the words are significant, but the feeling that they create is even more important. I understand that many of us have suppressed feelings, and it can be a chore to get back in touch with something that we may not consider to be safe. I get it. And like I said, it's a process. These beliefs around how you may feel if you open the Pandora's box, or there are beliefs around how you may feel if you open the Pandora's box. Yeah, that's a big one for quite a few people. Let's just put it over here. Let's just suppress it. Just leave it alone. And I have all my little compartments. I've got them all over there. I don't need to deal with them. Yes, you do, because they're over there, which means they're here, which means they're creative. And when we open them and we see that they're not so challenging, changes everything, right? It's a possibility. Let's do it. You may start crying and never stop. You may not know how to control the rage and do something regrettable. Maybe you don't want other people think you are weak with such feelings. Like my story, and sometimes certain feelings, like my story, sometimes certain feelings are not okay. The reasons to keep emotion in check are varied and unique to you. One thing is for sure. Just because you keep them locked up in the vault doesn't mean that they are not affecting your life. The words we speak out loud and in the silence of our minds set the path on the road of life. The feelings put energy into that navigation to set your path and make your goals happen. It is not just changing your thoughts, you are owning the full intention of the new statement and the feelings behind it. Here are some key points to own in order to reach the destination. You must believe in what you are saying, have the trust and faith that it is already in the works. Feel the excitement, the enthusiasm or appreciation of what you're manifesting. Know what actions you have to take to get to your destination. That's a big one. You will have to continually focus on the intention of your statements. You must trust that it is already happening. So here are 10 mindful, intentional power statements that will change your life. Hold them as true. Own the feelings of appreciation, enthusiasm, excitement, or even just being consciously calm and sure. I live in the present moment. Every moment is an opportunity to be focused on what you can do to make your life better. Each challenge is a new choice point to find the solution to make the next minute better. I use my feelings as a guide to my conscious choices. If you are feeling from what I call fear feelings like anger, anxiety, stress, or worry, you are not thinking as clearly as you could. You are also at the effect of an unconscious belief. Those feelings are your guide that it is time to stop the car, reevaluate what's going on at the moment. Next power statement. I focus on the solutions to any challenging situation. We have been trained to focus on the problems in life, and unfortunately, where we place our attention is what we get. I know that times get rough, and it is natural to tell your friends, family, and coworkers what's going on with you. The problem is that when you tell it to too many people and spend all that time and energy on the problem, you will continue to focus on what has or could happen that is bad rather than the possible great outcome. Just this one power statement alone is seriously life-changing. Next power statement. I learn from the past and use the wisdom to make conscious, new, intentional choices. The past is not meant to define you. It is just where your consciousness was at the time. You learned how to do what you did, and if it's no longer working for you, you get to learn a new way to be. It's just that simple. Next one. I let go of judgment and allow compassion to lead the way. If I could say that in my therapy practice that there would be one major thing that many people do that makes their lives difficult, it would be dealing with constant judgment. We judge or get judged by something that happened years ago, and that will be forever how we look at that person. Or we judge without even knowing the circumstances of people's lives. We judge and do the thing that we are judging. We hurt with all the judgment, and there is no room for letting go. Compassion for the unconsciousness of who they and you have been is the key to everything. Then set healthy boundaries using effective communication and a focus on the solutions. This will move your life in a powerful direction. Seriously, this is one of the big ones. Judgment, that's that thing. For most of us, when you move into compassion, it's insane how powerful that is. These are one of the big things. Divine right action is taking place in my life all the time. That's a powerful statement. I know that this one might be a bit of a challenge. One thing I have seen for all these years of working with clients, the hard times are where we learn, and from the lessons, we discover our power. Life is all about the journey and the contrasts along the way. When you put this power statement out ahead of you, then there is more of what you will own in the great moments and the difficult times ahead. Next, abundance comes to me from known and unknown sources. My life is rich. This one is pretty amazing. I have witnessed so many miracles in my own life and in the lives of my clients over the years. For many of us, we grew up with what I call a lack and limitation belief. If this is the case with you, it might be that this statement is difficult to own. This would be a good opportunity to look at your beliefs around money, success, and abundance. Next one, I continually and and consciously let go of what no longer serves me. If it makes you unhappy, unhealthy, feeling unloved or lacking, it might not serve you anymore. Time to let go and move on to better things. Next, I continue to lean into the people who support, appreciate, and respect me. I live in love. This does not mean you have to get rid of those who are not supportive, disrespectful, or have a lack of appreciation. It just means that you will spend your time with those who resonate with the best and highest that you are creating in your life. Some good constructive communication will help create better relationships with those that are not in alignment with this power statement. A lot about constructive communication coming up soon. I live in deep appreciation for all that was, all that is, and all that will ever be. The feeling of appreciation is one of the most powerfully creative feelings. Feel gratitude for where you have been, for what you are doing, and for what you are wanting. This will make all things better in your world. So, reveal buried beliefs. If there's a part of you that feels bad or says no every time you say your power statement, ask yourself, what do I really believe about this? Is this another person's beliefs that I no longer wish to own? Is this something that doesn't hold any value for me anymore? When thinking of the car analogy, imagine that all these old beliefs are in the trunk of your car, weighing you down, causing the car to not go fast enough or with strong direction. Sometimes it can get so heavy back there that it is dragging on the ground and the car stops dead in its tracks. You got to dump the trunk. So it's a trip, mind road trip for dumping the trunk. So, yeah, there we go. Okay. I see somebody is watching here. This is good. So focus your attention on a belief that you have that you're ready to let go of. It could be anything. Are you ready to upgrade? What purpose does your belief serve? If you have opportunity to give it, are you ready to make to with belief? Then create a power statement that is in alignment with what you want and put a higher vibration feeling into it. Make sure you take the time to do these. It is all a part of the game. And within a game, you have to be in the process to get the prize. Stop the video at this point and do those things that I just said and just be with it. And now we're going to go into the intention exercise. So set 5 intentions, 5 things that you have been meaning to do. Take the time to do that. Create 5 power statements to support the intentions. What creative action can I do to make them stick in my mind? So take a piece of paper and write your statement on it, then put it up on an inner part of a cabinet, door, or your mirror, or maybe the inside of the visor of your car, any place where you will look occasionally and take note. You can make a song or a mantra out of your power statements. I am grounded, focused, centered, and calm. Grounded, focused, centered, and calm is one of mine when I'm really wanting to be present and choose calm. Look yourself in the eye when you're getting ready for the day and say it out loud to yourself in the mirror. Make it fun. So when you're doing these power statements, it's a continual reminder when you're putting it up in different places, when you are, getting creative with it. It's important to, jog your memories sometimes. So in the photo below is an example of how this process has worked in my own life. This was a few years ago when I was having a hard time. I went on my very first solo camping trip and had to take the time to really figure out why things were the way they were for me. I'll never forget sitting down at the table in the middle of a ring of redwood trees, writing this, working through this stuff, and coming to this realization. This truly was a life-changing moment for me, and there are times when I still go back to this power statement. So this is the actual first fear into power. And I was sitting there and I was having a hard time, and the challenge was I'm angry, frustrated, and tired. I work too hard. And then I had to look at my 0 to 8 and the beliefs that I took on from my parents and people around me. Then I looked at experiences and I had to look at what work was for me. And I was working since I was very young. If my belief system was if you want something, you have to work hard to get it. Being a hard worker is valuable. Then I wrote this. And I'm telling you, I didn't think about it. My hand just did the writing. That's why you want to literally write it. It comes from your mind through your hand onto paper. It's like a channeled writing. And I didn't even think about it. I wrote work less equals worthless. And I looked at that and I went, oh my gosh, there's this emphasis on this happening right now with the emergency vehicle, the fire engine behind me. So that was like a huge moment for me where it was like, if I'm not working, I'm not valuable. And it was huge. So on the power side, my intention, the solution is I'm working less, making more money, and I'm having more fun. So I kept having to, when I would go into whatever the feeling was, the angry, frustration, tired, and those kind of feelings, I'd have to catch myself and go back over here to this part where I was changing my beliefs around working. And over the years, since I did this particular first one, there have been other layers to it as well, different levels of it. And I've really gotten to a good place where I'm hardly working at all. Like, I don't consider this work. And I am having more fun, and I'm making really pretty good money too. And I'm going to make a lot more. Just saying. So let's read on. Over the years, I have talked with many people who have felt challenged about money. They work too hard and deeply feel a lack of appreciation. If this has ever been your situation, feel free to adopt this power statement for yourself. Just notice when the resistance shows up, because it will. You will doubt yourself, you will worry, you will have to pull back the layers of your beliefs to own your truth. And then, thank goodness, you will level up when you do all of that. With all this in action, life will get a bit easier and better day by day. I have to say, this is absolutely a process. I know I've said that before. It's super important to get. Owning that affirmation did not happen overnight. I'm so thankful for the Fear into Power tool. I am still using it when I have a big challenge. This is the main process that has brought me more alignment with my power than fear. It has been the most effective tool for so many of my clients as well. You can use this format for many situations that come up in life. I have shared it many times with people who are debating a big change in their life, pros and cons to move, to make a career change, have a baby, and so on. It helps to map the future. So if you see the picture here, it says at the top of it, it's plan for creative action. So this is different versions of the Fear into Power tool. So there's obviously the Fear into Power. There's also the challenge. What's the solution? Addiction, recovery, the cons, the pros, stressed, calm, old habits, new intentions, hateful into loving. So what you're doing is you are using this tool to realign all of that. Below is an example of what I did for my New Year's visioning process. You can see how I processed what I learned from the old year and how I gained clarity on the intentions for the new year. So for this particular year, and this was years ago, it took a long time to write this book. So no more of this unhealthy relationships. Why? So I'm looking at it with the critical thinking. Why did I have unhealthy relationships in that past year? And so I'm looking to critical think and figure out, what was going on there? Why would I create that? What was my part? What was my attention on? Why would I choose that? What do I really want? So it wasn't healthy and not enough energy. Why did I have that going on? Did I make choices that support my body? What was my attention on? These are two separate issues. What was my attention on with regard to my body? Did I spend too much time focused on negative feelings and experiences? So I'm asking myself all of those questions so that I can come to the intention, the focus, and solutions. So here's the power statements that I owned for that. I am the love of my life. I draw people to me that love me. People in my life are supportive, fun, and loving. I am valuable. The relationships that I create are respectful, considerate, patient, compassionate, cooperative, and kind. I am all those things I wish to have in a great relationship. I communicate effectively and forgive easily. I love and honor my body. I make healthy choices that support the health of my body. My attention is on the solutions that create energy and well being. I work through my feelings that don't support an environment of calm. I spend my time focused on intentional living and making healthy choices. So that is a really, you can see the difference there. You can see what I did on that. And I have to say, as I'm reading them, I haven't read these for a while. I am doing these things and I am probably healthier now at 62. I was probably around 50-ish, 52 maybe when I wrote that. So I'm much healthier now. So it's really important to get. You can be at whatever age, even if you're in your 50s, 60s, you can actually be healthier as you get older. I think there's a lot of beliefs out there that we, you know, get old and we just get unhealthy. And that's faulty thinking. All right, let's get back to this reading. I was working with a client and they were having a moment with their business. Things were not bad. They were just in a moment of being somewhat stuck. The expectations of where they thought they would be at this point were just not being met. The business took off very well and things had been moving in the right direction. This business had come to a point where it could either really take off or not. While we were talking, it became apparent that there was some unconscious thinking and feeling going on, and it was not being addressed. There was worry, some stress of unresolved issues, and anxiety about possible future problems. All of it was fixable, and none of it was true at the moment. It's just where the attention had unconsciously gone to. Remember, for most of us, much of what we are thinking and feeling throughout the day is not paid attention to. We just have this we've created normal feeling of worry, anxiety, stress, etc. And it's just a part of our day. We have been trained to believe that it's normal. Notice how many people around you continually talk about how bad things are or how bad things might get. It is how we have learned to relate to each other. It is the program. They don't even realize they're doing it. I mean, think about that. And just as you're going throughout your day, notice if there is that conversation going on. Years ago, I had a client that was having a challenge with a business partner. The partner had a lot of anxiety, stress, and worry about what he thought was happening with the business. I gave my client the task of going back to their business partner and showing them the following diagram. He was to explain how the fear into power process works. Then, Working together as a team, they were to look at the issues from a new perspective, understand the unconscious focus of attention, then decide on what new thoughts and actions they could take. Happy to say that it worked, and the team was able to work through the issues and into the next stage of their success. When you fully learn this process and use all the tools, it can be beneficial to share with the people around you. Just make sure they're interested. I had to learn the hard way. The hard way to only share my information with people who wanted to know more. When you do share with friends or family, it helps to solidify the information with your own daily practice. It also creates better communication, cooperation, and collaboration. It's a great team builder, and everyone gets to level up together. So, this picture below is the format that I gave them to share with their pit crew and the intention, what was working for them as a crew. So you really be in the moment and appreciate, all right, these are good, this is good, this is good. So you're setting that as the foundation. Then you're looking at the perception. What's the challenge? What are you dealing with? Where are things stuck? Where are things not in alignment? So you're literally looking at what's the fear? What's the feelings around this? And then your attention. What's the solution? And that's where you go into creatively working together to brainstorm and come up with things that will be effective for everybody. So, taking the time to work through the issues with conscious intention always moves things towards a better outcome. Instead of the fear unconsciously running the show, you are bringing it to the surface and acknowledging your ability to change it. Most importantly, you are gaining clarity, insight, and focusing on the solutions as a team. I have seen too many times where a problem was just an idea in the imagination of many a client. It was never much of a surprise when months later they would share with me that they lost their job, are going through a divorce, or without a favorite friend. The unconscious attention won. When you keep complaining about what you do not want, you get what you don't want. It's just that simple. So, this is the end of the tools for fear into power. The next tool will be this choice point timeline. This goes hand in hand with the fear into power tool. So we're going to stop this segment for now. Thank you so much for joining me here. And again, feel free to share with your friends. And I will see you shortly for the timeline tool coming up. Have a good one.